You are.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would.
Thank you for being a friend. Oh, thank you so much for joining us again. We're going to finish our conversation that we started. And I am Hannah Josue. This is,
Lady K.
and we invite you to bring the chair at our table and finish this serious conversation that we've been having, a heart to heart, and we both being vulnerable because we
Ooh.
really want to help somebody else. We want to bring wisdom. Everything we bring to the table have to have value because of you. We want to bring wisdom to the table that's going to help somebody else to rethink, to transform, to be, not to feel alone out there, that we want to be able to share wisdom with our story. So we're being vulnerable. We're putting everything out there, but we're doing it for you. So thank you for joining us and pulling to this table. So last session, Lady Carol shared her story on suffering silently while battling depression. This is part two. So this time I'm going to share my story because as you said perfectly, Carol, that depression looks different to everyone because everybody according to your DNA. So we want to give our different story of the silent killer, right? That silent suffering from the both of us, but we went through it two different ways. And you went through it yours, and I went through mine. And uh, to share my story of silent suffering. And when I went at the time, I didn't know it was a depression. And mine at the same time, while I was teaching, training, the intercessory training class, I mean, I'll have several people in my class, sometime 80, 90, over 100 people in the class that I'm teaching every week. Every semester was 16-week semester. And they've gotten to a point that a lot of people was coming to the class. And so I was also teaching it in three different locations. So I would teach it in one location. I had two more locations. So throughout the week, for 16 weeks, that's all I was doing is teaching and training others. And so I was constantly dealing with a lot of different people, different character, different spiritual manifestation, carrying that by myself and doing that by myself. And I did not realize that I believe it was about 2 to 3 years or more that I was in depression and didn't realize that's what it was. I became a different person. I didn't even recognize myself. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And again, couldn't share it as a believer to the church. Oh, you're a rabbi, you a prophet, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So people expect the expectation is perfection from you when you are a leader in the body. They expect for you to know everything, to you can't suffer with anything, you don't need anything, you just walking on water as far as they're concerned. And that was not my reality. And at the time, I did not have an outlet. I didn't at the time. You and I had different lives that we were living.
Yes.
So I didn't have anyone else to go to. But I do believe God allowed it to happen to really, for me to learn him in a whole different way. I would have never learned God and became that certified brain coach if I didn't experience that mental aggravation or mental
Yes.
sickness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I remember there was one instant that I used to walk, when I walked my baby, I used to go in this field and I will cry and cry. I will fall in the middle of the ground and say, God, I just can't do this. Nobody knew. The same way you said last week that you wanted to commit suicide. My thought of suicide came different. I said, God, all I wanted I told him I wanted to just get out of here and go in space. If I could just get out of here for a minute and just go in space and for me to get a break. That was my form of suicide for me. I didn't want to be here, but because of the fear, okay, I can't commit suicide because the same thing, people would say, you're going to go to hell. So I was trying to find a way to commit suicide without going to hell. Right? So my way was, why don't you just take me? I used to say that all the time. Take me out of here for a minute. Just let me go in space for a minute. So I used to imagine me in space a lot just to get out because it felt like the fire was so hot. You feel like, I used to tell God, it feel like you left the stove on and you forgot I was on this fire. It was that intense. And then I'm watching everybody else grow, succeed, and it felt like I was still in the same spot. And then I had to deal with all these different characters. I used to say this. If you ever seen the show Orange Jumpsuit, it's a comedy where these women from prison had orange jumpsuit. Yes. And it felt like that's what I was around. I was around a lot of tough people that seemed God sent to me for me to teach, train. But I was getting punched a lot. I was getting kicked a lot because correction, and you correct people and you teach people and they just have a reaction. They punch and they think that because you're the leader, it's okay. But I was getting, it's like being a boxer. If you get hit so many times, you're gonna have a concussion. Yes. And I believe I had a mental concussion from getting hit so hard because I was it was like, and it wasn't one person, it was several mentees and students and people that said they're spiritual daughters, and oh my God. And it was like punch all the time. And you standing up there trying to box and you fainting and you falling and you have to get up and fight again. And it was very painful. What I want to do is share. I want to bring one of my spiritual daughter on, and I want her to share her experience with me going through that depression moment, because I want to help somebody else, because it may be somebody that is walking with somebody else that is in depression and you don't know what that is, right? And I remember not having a place to escape. I remember I was very hard on myself because I felt like I was praying, I was interceding, I was seeing things for people, I was helping other people, but I couldn't help myself. I could not help me, and I did not understand how come I could have it. Somebody will come and ask me, well, what about this? And I could give them the scripture, the revelation, God said, but then I go home and I cry. Oh my God. Right? After I finish teaching, I go home, I'm screaming and crying and falling under the bed, and nobody knew that I was experiencing that. That my family didn't know. I couldn't reach out to family. I couldn't reach out to friends. I couldn't talk to anybody. But let me, before I go to that point, before I let her on, I want to rewind about, I believe the depression started way before that. And as you said last week, the residue stayed. And when I started teaching, it started coming out. I started my depression started when I was going through my divorce. And I started losing everything. I started losing from my home, properties that I own, and including my marriage. And I remember that type of depression was more intense. And my family didn't know it. My mother was living the same city, across around the corner, and never knew.
Wow.
That depression was so hard. It felt like when I went outside, the sun was burning my skin. I had to run in the house. So I didn't have nobody to share that with.
Wow.
And I believe that's where it started. And as you said, the residue stayed with me from that trauma, because there was a lot of infidelity in my marriage that I was suffering through. And I mean, that's a session all by itself that I have to share with people, that going through that depression by myself with infidelity, that's a trauma that could take you to the moon and back. But that's where it started. And I believe that trauma, that residue stayed in my skin. And then as I traveled and moved to Dallas and started doing ministry, it started coming out through all of the other traumatized experience that I started having in ministry. It's like ashes started coming out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was very mentally painful. It was mentally painful. So I want to bring my spiritual daughter Ruth to. I want you to share with everybody the journey that you experienced with me through this depression.
Good
You on?
evening. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay, doctor?
Yes, I do.
Good. Hi, Lady Carol. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you, Ruth.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for this opportunity to join this wonderful platform and share some of my experience of what it's like to, and I'm gonna say what it's like to be with someone through depression, but that someone is someone you care about strongly. Um, it's a little bit different when you actually have a deep relationship or feeling have a deep relationship with someone and you're watching them go through depression. uh, because what I learned is I had to separate myself from that person, or even from, I'm saying, from Dr. Joe Sway, because I was with her when she was going through her depression. I learned how to separate myself, so I wouldn't bleed on her, and I could actually be a support to her, and not respond to her depression in a negative way, because I could have took it personally and made it about me, which it would have made her worse. But I understood that there was an assignment to be with her and support her. What it looked like, and depression is interesting because it is subtle. I want to say sometimes people go through something traumatic, and you know that they're grieving, like there was a death or a divorce or something like that. But when I was with you, Dr. Josue, it was very subtle. I can remember for one while I would call you Sunshine. I just give you little names because you were kind of bubbly person. I thought you were funny anyway because you were just a humorous person. You were always doing little things that if people paid attention, it was just, to me, just hilarious. And I laugh very easily. But I watched you transition from that, and it really was heartbreaking because I couldn't figure out where the sunshine went. You stopped smiling. Um, you stopped being open and friendly. Now, let me say, it didn't look like that on the outside because I was also there with the classes being taught. Nothing changed on the outside, as in you did your job. And that was what's deceiving and can be deceiving because people are functional while they're depressed. It's the
Yes.
after that if you don't pay attention to, you'll get confused. And it was, for one while, it was very confusing because you were, here you were preaching and teaching, and revelation was coming across, but when you stepped down from the podium, you went into this sunken place, and you became just closed off, unfriendly. you begin to be very sensitive to words that were said, super sensitive. And you're not a sensitive person, as in you don't take things personally, but you took a lot of things more personally. And yeah, and it's just the life was not that. You just lived in a shadow. And in the communication, I couldn't figure out what. A lot of times you were saying things, but I couldn't figure it out because I wasn't listening with an ear of compassion, as in hearing this person is in pain. I had an expectation for you to keep being rabbi. I had an expectation for you to keep being prophet. I had an expectation for you to keep being spiritual mother. And then until I figured out, okay, she needs somebody as well. That's when I understood I had to operate differently. It wasn't about me getting something from you, but at that time, you needed someone. You needed a daughter. You needed a safe place. And I say a safe place, a person who understood why you were crying, a person who understood why you were hurting and didn't have judgment. I think a lot of people who are spiritual, I don't think we take very good care of people when they're going through a natural process.
Mhm.
And I don't want to get too deep into saying that, but I don't think we do a good job, because I looked at some of the people who are around me, and I consider the prayer festival a place where we were training intercessors, and I tell you, those sisters could pray. Oh, they will blow you off the mic. I was afraid to open my mouth because I didn't think I could compete with some of the not that you're competing in prayer, but I didn't think I could carry a flame to some of those prayer warriors and intercessors who were going forward. But I was shocked to see that no one saw that you were hurting. And I kept going back and asking God, and after a while, it seemed like I was the only one standing. I was so disappointed. I was like, where are these intercessors? They don't see. I'm looking, at you. Spiritually, I said, her heart is bleeding. She's hurting. She's wounded. No one saw it, and no one can hear her tears in the spirit realm. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I understood that God sent me there and put me there and had me there, so I could just be a support. And my assignment was just like God said, love her, and I did that to the best of my ability. And my love was not just, it wasn't just woo woo. The love was being patient and kind, and even accepting when you were not so kind. Love is not about you and the feeling. It was
There's
a
a name for
commitment.
it. There's a name for it. You were loving the hell out of me.
Okay, all right. Amen. I can't say it, but you said it.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And not too many people knows how to do that. They don't know how to do that. And it's something that you said when you said you watch other people walk away from me and not help. Do you know at that time that was normal for me? I didn't even feel that. That wasn't even that. To you, you were hurt. You were, why they walking away from her when she needed. To me, that was normal for me. I was used to people walking away from me. I'm used to people not supporting me. So that wasn't even, it was almost like that hurt. It's almost like that you hurt yourself and you don't even feel the pain.
Yeah.
But you bleeding.
You don't really recognize you're bleeding. Yeah. And you did. I watched you. You didn't recognize you were bleeding. And many times I felt like I would just wrap you up, so to speak, and I would pick you up and I would carry you and lay you on the altar for God, and I would cry, because I knew you were hurting. And I was like, okay, God, she's hurting. And I couldn't tell anybody, because I'm like, y'all don't see it, So it does, love is a different word, because love is not, it doesn't always feel good when you commit to love someone. Mm-hmm. But when you love them, even when they go through depression, you have to understand it's not about you, it's about them. And what can you do to support them in that, and move your feelings out the way while you support them while they're going through it.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that, how God loved me enough to even put you in my life during that time, because at that time when the people couldn't see me and I didn't even feel the pain of them walking away from me. It became so natural for me to accept that rejection. It was normal for me. So only I didn't know I was in that much pain. I didn't know I was in pain. I just knew something was wrong, I just didn't know what it was. And I didn't know it was depression, and I didn't know it was pain. I really honestly did not know it was. I was so used to rejection, and then I made it my normal.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
goodness.
made it not normal. So it's almost like somebody slap you and you don't even
Mhm.
know it hurt.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
think it's normal,
Mhm.
and so that's why I'm very grateful that God loved me enough to put you in my life to walk when I didn't even know you were walking with me. That's the part that I really want to emphasize on. Sometime when God puts somebody in your life, you don't know they're walking with you through that. So if you are one of those people that have somebody that God have put you with them to walk with them, they don't know. So they don't know to appreciate you. They don't know to thank you. They don't know to be nice to you because they don't know. And I, at that time, I didn't know. And I remember you used to tell me that you used to cook for me, and I used to get upset because I didn't know that was a love language. And I was like, I don't care. What's the food?
Uh,
And you don't know that at that time
yeah.
until you out of it. So the person could get mad at you and leave you, like you said, they jumped up and just left me. I can't believe Rabbi do me like that. You don't know you're doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
You don't know that you in pain. All I know is I had a whole bunch of people around me that looked like they were wearing yellow jumpsuit. That's all I saw. And I had to stay on guard
Yeah.
because if you in prison, you got to protect yourself.
Exactly.
Right. And I felt like that's all I was around, people that wanted to punch me all the time. So I had to be on the guard because, where the punch is coming from so I could fight back. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? So that felt like that's where I was living in. That's where I was living in. And I thank you for allowing God to use you to walk with me through that process.
Yes.
Oh, I can't even say that I knew it. I can't I can't say that I understood it. All I know is that when God said love her, I was like, I was like, oh, okay, I'm a lovable kind of person, but I think I understood it differently when the love is not necessarily coming back as you think it should, or in the way you should. So again, and we need to stop judging people, especially leaders, because they are people too. They
Yes.
hurt, they bleed, they get wounded, they get discouraged, And I wasn't quoting scriptures at you. I wasn't saying thus said the Lord. I was just there to whatever, if I could bring you your shoes, or if I could make sure you had something to eat, or if you had your favorite snack, or I could do something goofy to make you laugh. That was the assignment, So it wasn't deep as in me being in the third heaven receiving revelation. I was just there to be supportive and see that you got the things that you needed to help you through that time.
Well, I think it was easy for God to use you because you had a different motive. Everybody's motive was, I want something from you. You didn't have the motive, you wanted something from me. So it was easy for God to come and use you. Because most everybody, 99% of people that came to me wanted something from me.
Wow.
Wanted my prayer, wanted covering, wanted revelation, wanted prophecy. It was something that was always wanted from me.
Wow.
I hardly didn't get anything that was giving back to me.
Wow.
When I started getting back is when my mentor today came into my life. That was my first time that I ever experienced anybody giving back to me in my spiritual mother.
Wow.
I never experienced that before.
Mm.
Never. Nobody. I was depleted. It was a different type of depression. I was totally
and
depleted.
you didn't even take hugs. I remember back in the day, you wouldn't even let me hug you. And so, so if I were to hug you, I would grab you by surprise and hug you. I probably usually got hit, and it was okay, not in a bad way.
Of
Like,
course, I did. Honestly, I didn't know about hug. I didn't know nothing about none of that because I wasn't used to that.
you're right.
I'm used to people fighting me. So
Yeah.
I'm like, if you coming to me and hug me, I'm thinking you're about to fight me. So I'm ready.
Yeah,
I
and
gotta
you
protect myself.
did. You braced up on me. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it was challenging.
Wow.
It was child. But you know, what surprised me a lot is when Ruth said, I keep seeing this dark shadow around you. And that's
Yeah.
exactly how I used to feel.
Yeah, and when I prayed for you again, I never told you that. You know, this is the first time I ever said that to you. When I
Mhm.
prayed for you, and the Lord allowed me to see things around you and see things for you. There was I could see dark shadows around you. The sun that or that light that I was used to seeing in your spirit in your eyes, it wasn't there. It literally wasn't there, and it wasn't you. It wasn't a demon. It was you hadn't backslidden, nothing like that. You needed someone to give you light and life, I'm glad, I'm thankful that I was able to just again, all I did was really just pray. 'Cause a lot of times my feelings were hurt. I was playing like, gosh, you did you hear what you said to me? But I found myself taking my heart and your heart and putting it on the altar and say, we need you, we
Wow.
need you right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 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 And I appreciate that. You see, so we wanted to give that different perspective. That
Yes.
actually all three of us have a different perspective, a different journey in this silent, because Ruth was also suffering in silence. She couldn't tell
Oh
nobody.
my.
She didn't know how to experience, how to tell somebody, this woman over here is in depression and she killing me.
Right, I didn't think I had the right to say anything, and I thank God for again your mentor and your spiritual mother who came. Because I was like, God, send some help. I didn't know how to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see? So it's a different, all three of us had a
Yes.
different path of suffering in silence
Suffering in
while
silence.
battling depression. Because I know that was traumatized for you too, especially when you did not know what was happening. You didn't know who to talk to. You didn't know who to tell what. Because I didn't have that leader at that time that you could have went to, or I could have went to, until later on when God connected me with my mentor and connected me with my spiritual mother. And that's the journey I started coming out of.
Right.
Wow.
Started coming out of it through their wisdom.
Wow.
So yeah, but I think we might need to do a part 3.
Yes, we need to
Yes,
hear
'cause-
more about your story.
Mm-hmm. And
repeat again.
We need to hear more about your story, how you felt when you were going through it,
Yes,
yes.
depression.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we need to do a part 3 on that, because this is a real story. I know there's a lot of people that's experienced this. So I appreciate you, Ruth, for sharing, because somebody is going to have an aha moment with you sharing, because
Yes.
people are walking away so fast, not helping and not being there, allowing God to be the vehicle of love in a different way, in supporting somebody that is going through a depression. And most
Right.
people don't have that support. As you said before, I'm afraid what people would have labeled me, what I'm afraid what people would have said if I told them I was going through a depression. So people don't support you because they don't get it, they don't understand it, and they normally would judge you. That's just
Yeah.
bottom.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You get judged very quickly.
Very quickly.
So
Yes.
I think it's so important just to say this again. We have to learn to listen to people we are in relationship with. Stop and listen. Stop talking so much and stop giving your opinion so much. You could be right in your opinion, but learn to listen, because sometimes people just need to be heard. They're crying out in different ways that you might not think is a depression. But if you just stop to listen and look in their eyes, pay attention. Look at their cues. If they start dressing differently, or if they're not smiling, or they're sharp, or they get super quiet and not communicate. All these are signs that pay attention to it,
Yes.
because people are suffering. But the suffering part is when people are around you and no one hears and see you. You feel like you're drowning, and no one hears and see you. I think that's one of the worst feelings. So if you're in a
Oh,
relationship, you have a responsibility that people you're in a relationship with. Listen, pay attention, be engaged with them, relate to them, watch out for clues that's going on, and come out of yourself and think, I am in a relationship with this person. I need to be present for them.
that's what we talked about, stewarding your relationship. It's just
Exactly.
not that we don't have no just friendship. You steward your relationship with people, whether it's your mentor, your best friend. You have to learn to steward it. That's how you know. So I thank you for that. I thank you. I think, Carol, we need to do a part 3.
Yes.
This
I'm proud.
conversation is not over.
Yes.
Yeah, this conversation,
Absolutely. This
somebody's
is
being helped.
yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let's do part 3. We have
Yes.
more to say and more to share with you. You have
Yes.
yourself a good night. Thank you.
Thank you for being a friend.
Friend.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel